The faster you learn to sniff out a bad deal or an unmotivated seller or a toxic seller or a toxic situation, the more time that you're going to save yourself and the more money you're going to make. Okay, welcome to the Underground Wholesaler. My name is Rob MacReady, and in this video, I am going to teach you, or at least give you some examples about how to look for and spot a bad seller, an unmotivated seller, a toxic deal, a toxic situation, or anything that you can sniff out in advance so you're not wasting all of your precious time and precious resources on people who are just not ready to sign on the dotted line. So, this episode, let's talk about a real life interaction that I had. And this was on my first sales call. All right, as a wholesale real estate investor, wholesale real estate buyer. So if you know anything about the business, then you know that we had to do a lot of lead development. We're sending out a lot of letters. We're making a lot of phone calls. We have messages going out. And then we have people, sellers, who are calling us back. And we are having to qualify each seller that calls us. Okay, they got our letter, says, hey, we want to buy your house for cash. And they call us and say, hey, I would like to sell you my house for cash. So, all right, great. So we get a lady, I won't name her name, but she has a condo and she wants to sell her condo for cash because her and her boyfriend are moving to Colorado. Her boyfriend and her chihuahuas are moving to Colorado. And what I remember the most about it is that she kept texting a number over to us. She kept saying a number, like I need 110,000, something like that. So, and that was fine. You know, it's like, okay, we'll deal with that. But, when I went to go talk to her, it didn't quite go as well as I was hoping to. Okay. So first things first. If any of you know anything about this, know about wholesale real estate or negotiation or dealing with people who are into selling their houses for cash, you know that when somebody's throwing a number over the line, that's a huge red flag, okay? And when I first got into this business, I didn't know anything about selling. I was not a salesman. I didn't really have the acumen to pick that up. But you should know going into this that if you have a seller who's on the line, even if they're motivated and they have good reason to leave, if they're already throwing out numbers, that's a red flag, okay? Now, you can work with that. You can work with that either way, but you just have to know that that's the number they have cemented in their brain. Whether or not it makes sense to you, whether or not it makes sense to anybody's reality or the laws of physics and reality themselves in the universe doesn't matter, because your seller, the person that you're about to go talk to and beat them down over price and tell them that their house isn't worth anything and why they should sell it to you for 50 cents on the dollar, you're about to run that price by them and they have a way higher price that's probably pretty close to retail already locked in their brain, and for good reason, okay? It doesn't have to make sense to you. It doesn't matter, but just know that going into this, if you're talking to people and they're already throwing out numbers, you have a problem, okay? Or you have a potential problem, but you need to be aware of that. So that's pro tip number one. That's worth $1 million right there. Okay. Or at least thousands of dollars in fees that I could be charging people to teach this stuff too. Number two, the big thing you need to be careful of. Pro tip number two, and this is one that's worth another fortune. Be very careful about putting numbers out there over the phone or putting numbers out there before you are ready to make your official offer on the property, okay? Because once numbers start to go out, numbers get locked in people's brains and they get locked in there pretty quickly and pretty tightly. So if you overshoot a number that you really don't know if you can pay for it, well, you're going to be stuck with it, and your seller will remember that. So let's say you have a property that, you can pay max $100,000 for, but over the phone, you're like, yeah, maybe we could go 140, 150, just, shooting off the hip. When you drop $100,000 price on them and they go, whoa, wait a minute, you said 140, 150. I guarantee you that will happen 99 times out of 100. They will never forget that, okay? They've already been pumping themselves up and they've already been mentally spending all that money that you promised them, quotation fingers, over the phone, all right? So be real careful about that. So, and conversely, be real careful about going too low. You'll turn a lot of people off. You really can't tell them the truth. Like, hey, so it's $100,000 property and you have no intention of offering them any more than like $50,000 or $55,000. Okay. You can't tell them that. So tell them, say, hey, we can get close. We have to look and see what the repairs are. I really can't give you a number until yada, 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 until you get the numbers, until you talk to them, until you see what the property is like, this and that. And the best way to manage that I would say the best way to handle it is just be upfront and honest with them. Say, look, we have a policy, and if you don't have a policy, who cares? Just make it up. We have a policy where we never give an offer over the phone. We never give a hard offer over the phone, and just tell them it's because we don't want to show up. I don't want to insult you over the phone by giving you too low of a number without seeing the property, because you're right. It might be worth more. It might be worth every penny, but I don't know until I see it. Okay. And that's only fair. And the second part is that I don't want to offer you a number that's too high and set expectations too high and then show up and I can't pay that price. Okay. Actually, and you'd be surprised how receptive people are to that. And then you'd also be surprised at how many people get super upset and angry and all pissed off because you're just not giving them their magic number over the phone, because that's all they want. They just want the number, but don't give it to them. Okay. We'll get into that deeper and deeper into this podcast, but never the price that you're going to pay is your leverage. That's your only leverage. And once you give that away, the seller may just be like, okay, thanks, and then never talk to you again. All right. So, but we'll get into that. So, negotiating nightmares. Let's talk about my first sales call, which was, well, I'll let you decide what it was. So, the whole key to the story is that the faster you can sniff out a bad deal, the faster you can sniff out an unmotivated seller, a toxic seller, or a toxic situation, you're going to save yourself a ton of time and a ton of money. Okay. And the more money you're going to make, because you have to separate these people out. They're toxic. And I really mean that. They are toxic. They will waste your time. They will waste your energy. They will waste your money, and they won't think twice about doing any of this stuff. They don't care. They don't care how much money this is costing you in advertising. They don't care how much time this is costing you. They are only interested in getting the money that they need so they can get out of their problem and move on to Colorado or wherever it is they have to go. All right. And a little bit of a reality check here. I mean, what kind of people do you think you're dealing with who can't pay their bills? All right. Do you think these are upstanding, nice citizens who just want to do the best thing and make everybody happy and make sure that we're all happy in this deal? No, these are people that they're alcoholics, they're drug addicts, they're going through divorces, they've been convicted of fraud, they're losing their houses because they haven't been paying the mortgage, they haven't been keeping the house up, they don't care about where they live, they've been letting the place get dilapidated and just dealing with it. Okay, that's who you're dealing with a lot of times. I won't say everybody, but a lot of times that's who you're dealing with. So don't be surprised when you're dealing with toxic people in toxic situations. All right, so this lady, she's about 30-ish. All right. She has a condo she wants to sell. Great. Because she wants to move with her husband or her boyfriend to Colorado with their chihuahuas. So again, she's, hey, I need about 110,000, yada, 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 yada. So we look at the condo, we look at the complex and what these places have been selling for. And retail, these things are like 115, 120. So that's the first hurdle we have to jump. So first off, if we buy this thing for 110 and then we put it on the market, I mean, there's maybe $5,000 to be made out of it. I mean, it's not much margin for us. All right. And we're giving her cash and just hoping that we can resell this thing. She's basically hoping to dump this thing onto us and make it our problem. The second issue is that the condo that they were living in the complex was actually the manager's condo. So it was like twice or three times the size of every other condo that was in there. So now, is that bad or good? I don't know, but it definitely makes it an issue because it's different than everything else. And why would somebody who wants to move into that complex pay all this extra money to live in a bigger condo when they can live in the same complex in a smaller condo for a much smaller price? Okay. So these are the complications you're just going to have to deal with. I don't know how they got a hold of it, but they were living there. So show up morning of the meeting, right? And it's like, I don't know, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday at like 11 in the morning. Okay. So I'm meeting a 30-year-old woman at a condo at 11 in the morning. All right. And I walk up, knock on the door. Hello, my name is Rob. Nice to meet you. And she comes out and she answers the door holding two chihuahuas. All right. And she's got pajama pants on and slippers. And I'm just looking at this lady. I'm like, it's the middle of, it's like late morning and you got pajama pants on and slippers. Like, all right. We just, that's how we dress for the day, I guess. But that was the first thing I noticed about her. And she says, okay, let me, she's super nice. Oh, hey, great. So nice to meet you. You're the one I was talking to over the phone and all this stuff. Yeah. Come on in and see the place. And then we go in and the very first thing I noticed is the overwhelming smell of dog urine. just reeks in there like dog urine and dog poop. And I'm like, what is going on with this place? Like, it just reeks. Like my eyes are watering. So we're kind of walking around and looking, and she can see me like, and I look down and there's like pee pads on the floor with dog poop and dog pee just soaked. And she can see me kind of like look. I'm trying not to be rude, but I'm looking at it. And she goes, oh, yeah. She goes, well, the HOA, like they have this like shared green belt. She goes, well, they don't let our dogs poop outside or pee outside. Like, they don't like it. So we just have them poop and pee in here, and then we just clean it up. But you can't even notice it. I'm like, can't even notice it. It reeks in here. So that was, okay. I'm like, that's a big red flag. We have to get the dog poop and pee smell out. So we're dealing with that. And, walking around the apartment or the condo, and I haven't really noticed anything too out of line. I mean, like the kitchen needs to be updated, but when you go do these things, every kitchen needs to be updated. It had popcorn ceilings, that needs to come down, but does it really? Not really. It needs to have paint on the inside. There's some minor things that need to be done, probably, some bathroom fixtures and stuff like that, but it's a condo. We're not going crazy on it. Do you want to get into real estate investing? Do you want to start wholesaling, but you don't know where to start? You don't have any money, and you don't even have a contract. On Amazon, you can buy my book, We Buy Houses Cash, the inside story of a wholesale real estate investor buying homes with no money down. This is the book that I wrote that gives you the A to Z nuts and bolts about wholesale real estate investing, as well as stories from live negotiations that I did that were a success and a few of them that went horribly wrong, so you can learn the right way to do wholesale real estate. Available on Amazon. Are you short on money to fund your business? On this video and the link below, you can get to Fund and Grow, where they will give you the money to fund your business so you can actually get the leads that you need to start qualifying good sellers so you can get good deals in the front door and start making money and get your business going the right way. This is our website. You can get a link to the book right here. You can get a link to our contracts. These are the same contracts that I use to buy over $3 million of single family homes right here at the top, as well as links to Fund and Grow, where you can get your business funded. So as I'm walking around our condo, I'm making note of all these things that need to be done: ceiling fans, popcorn on ceilings, kitchen, flooring, paint, bathrooms, all that stuff. And as you further get into this, and as you further go down the line, and you do more and more sales calls, you'll start to see that like every house needs a new bathroom. Every house needs a new kitchen. Every house needs new paint. Every house needs new flooring. I mean, all this stuff that you're just going to rack up so you can beat the seller over the head with it later. Okay. So I spent about a half an hour, which was way too long, walking around the house, making note of every little thing. We're talking, she's talking to me. She's talking about how she needs to get to Colorado. They have a new job up there. She needs to sell this place, and then she needs to have enough money left over so that she can hire a moving company, go move up to Colorado, get a new apartment, put a new down payment on the apartment, and then also have money for furniture and moving and all the rest of it. And I was just looking at her and I'm like, okay, well, I forgot my magic wand at home, but I may have a genie's lamp with me that we can rub and maybe give you 3 wishes. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you think you're going to get out of this place? But that's what she needed, right? So as I'm going through the numbers and looking at it, the best ARV, which is the highest value on it that you're going to put on the MLS, was about $160,000. Okay. So, but I'm looking around and all this stuff, and it does need repair, and there's a ton of poo and pee everywhere. So I'm talking to her. So as I'm sitting down calculating this offer for her, and I'm going over, it does need an updated kitchen, does need updated paint, does need updated bathrooms. And I estimated it needed around $50,000 in repairs. Okay. The high resale or retail for this condo, especially one that size, was about $160,000. And that was going to be a challenge because not many people were moving in that area. Not many condos in that area were that much. And this one was special because this was the biggest condo in the entire complex. So having to convince someone that they should pay that much in a complex full of condos that only cost like 75, 80 grand, that was going to be a challenge. So I go over the whole thing. I give her my presentation, and I go over the other types of condos. I tell her all of that stuff, and in the middle of me kind of putting together this whole presentation for her where I'm getting to the price and what was wrong with it and why I was justifying giving her as much money. I mean, she's like, no. She's baby talking the dog. No. We poop and we pee on the pad. We don't pee on the floor. And then she has to get up in like the middle of the whole thing and like put her chihuahua on the pee pad. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I I finished my presentation, did the repair breakdown. And as I'm going through this, and you'll start to see this as you get out there talking to clients. And this is the nugget right here. Once the negotiation starts to go south, and this is how you'll know that your deal isn't going anywhere, okay? When you say, hey, look, if you walk into somebody's house and clearly it has popcorn ceilings that all have to come down, and you say, we have to take down the popcorn ceiling and put down, and we have to, put knockdown up there and paint it. And they go, no, that's fine. That doesn't have to be done. And they start to argue every little thing with you. You have a problem, okay? Let that be a red flag. Can you get around it? Sure. But let that be a red flag that you're in for a challenge and that this might be a no-go. Not because the popcorn ceiling doesn't have to come down, but because your seller is not confronting reality, okay? They don't want to hear it. All they want out of you is a check. They don't want to hear about anything else that you have to say. So, every little thing that I brought up, she wanted to argue with me with, okay? The popcorn ceiling was fine. The bathrooms worked. Nobody cares about those ceilings. The kitchen's fine. There's, everything in the house, according to her, was totally perfect. So I re-explained my position, repairs, how much we could pay, and it came to about $90,000. And I thought that was a pretty good price considering, the size of the condo, how different it was from everything else in there, and how much work was going to have to go into it. So at hearing this price, I'm literally watching her. She just got quiet and she kind of clenched her chihuahua closer to her chest and came right out and said it. This is just me and this lady alone in her condo. And she just looked at me and she goes, that price is a joke and you're wasting my effing time. And I just sat there and I just kind of blinked, and I'm used to dealing with tough customers and tough people from my other business and my other career, but I was not prepared to hear this from this lady in pajama pants, who's desperate for me to give her a check and get her out of her apartment. So pro tip number 3, as soon as your seller says something like that, negotiation's over. Okay. Negotiation is over. Say, I'm thank you for your time. I thank you for showing me the place. Here's my card or whatever it is you want to give to them and go about your business. Do not spend one more iota or ounce of energy, time, money, anything, because it's a no-go. And I'll explain why in a second, okay? So then, as I tried to, being new, I didn't know any better, so I started to argue with her. I started to argue my points. Well, you have to see, look at the other condos that have all this nice stuff. I was showing her Zillow. Your condo doesn't look like this. Look, all this stuff needs to be done, and you need new floors, you need this, you need that. And then she just started to argue back everything harder and harder and harder. She went on, several profanity-laced tirades about what a joke I was, about what a bunch of BS this was, about how I was wasting her time, and that's one of the things actually, this story comes from the book. And that's one of the things I write in the book was I almost laughed at the irony of a 30-year-old woman at home on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning wearing pajama pants and house slippers, complaining that I was wasting her time. Like, where exactly do you have to be right now? You don't have to be anywhere. This is all you do all day. So let's just cool it. All right. So then she went on about all the things that she needs. If I only give her $90,000, how am I supposed to move? How am I supposed to pay off the mortgage? How am I supposed to pay off my credit cards? How am I supposed to hire a moving company? How am I supposed to have money to put down on a new apartment? How am I supposed to X, Y, and Z? And I'm just listening to her. I'm like, like I said, I don't have my magic wand. I must have left it at home. As a matter of fact, I checked. I don't have my genie in a lamp either. So I can't solve all these problems for you. I can just give you a decent price. So anyways, we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it wasn't really going anywhere. I continued to argue. She continued to yell at me. And she even went to a point where, she pointed out the weight set that was in the living room. And let me know that I was lucky that her boyfriend wasn't there because he lifts weights. And, if he heard this, he would really let me know that I was out of line and wasting their time and, maybe something would happen to me. So at that point, I just said, hey, I don't think that this is a deal that's going to work. I don't think that we're the right people for you, and I appreciate your time, but we got to go. So I got up to leave, and then she immediately followed me. She's just, chirping the whole time, about what a waste of time this was, and, at how I was a scumbag, and, I'm trying to cheat people out of their houses and all the rest of it. And, hey, I just said, look, you invited me over to look at your place. This place is a dump. It needs a lot of work, but I'm not sure who's wasted whose time here. So that was the end of the sales call. So that is the nightmare that you're going to run into. This is not unique to me. This is not a unique situation. These are the people that you're going to be dealing with, okay? They have very high expectations. They don't understand really. They're not, I hate to say stuff like this, but they're not like financially sophisticated. I know that's a really snobby way to say it, but it's just true. Like they don't understand how investment works. They don't understand, the logistics of where this money comes from, how they, paying off their mortgage, getting the cash in their hands, and then what needs to be done after the fact. All right. These people, the only thing they understand is they have a problem. You have cash will fix it. Fix my problem. And then they get really upset when you don't give it to them. So the takeaways from this are that had I known, or actually had I had the experience beforehand of actually going into this sales call, I would have understood that the first red flag was the fact that she's already throwing out numbers. Hey, this is as much money as I need. And then that's a big red flag, like I explained before, that they have that number stuck in their head. Now, would it have been worth just going over and giving them 10 minutes, especially like working into my schedule if I was going to look at other properties in that same city? Sure. Just drive by, have a look, say, hey, I know you needed $110,000. I just don't think we can pay that price for it, okay? And she can argue and jump up and down and yell and spit all she wants. Just be like, okay, well, knock yourself out when you get tired, tire yourself out like a toddler, but I can't pay it. Thank you very much. Here's my card. All right. And the other issue is that she wants a number. She wants a number. She wants a number. She wants a number. So, and don't give these people a number. That's your leverage. Never, ever give these people a number until you're ready to sign. And that's one of the things that you will learn as you go through this is that never give the number until you know they're ready to sign. Are you ready to make a deal today? Okay. Are you ready? So if I make an offer on your property, are you ready to sign it over today? Because I have to move on this, yada, yada, yada. You have business to do, but we'll get into that later. If the answer is no, I have to think about it, this and that, anything other than a resounding yes, then don't give it to them. And you will piss people off. Be ready for that. You're going to piss people off either way, but be ready for people to be legitimately pissed at you. And they're going to cuss you out and they're going to say things. They're going to threaten you and all the rest of it. I've had it all happen to me. But because they want that number, and what they want that number for is they're just tire kicking, or they just want to see what you'll give them, or they want to compare it to all the other numbers that people are talking about. Okay. But this is your only leverage. And here's why. Once you give them a number, if they're not ready to sign with you, if you haven't talked them into it, if all the conditions aren't right, once they have that number, they're going to kick you to the curb. You're yesterday's news, and they're going to look at somebody else to go, okay, look, Rob came over here and offered me $90,000 for my condo, but I have 7 other yellow letters here, and I'm going to call all those people and say, hey, look, I just had an offer on this place for 90 grand. And I have to do better than that. And then what happens is they have everybody come in, all these other wholesalers, all of your competition, and they know that the bottom number is 90, and they're going to see as close to 90 as they can get going over that by and making a better number for them. And then if your seller can't get better than 90, then guess what? They're going to call back. They're going to call you back and get 90 and expect $90,000 for a condo that they couldn't get anybody else to pay that close for. Okay. So never give that number out. It's your only leverage. And the way that you leverage it is that, so let's say I knew then what I know now is I would have walked in, I would have given her 5 minutes tops. As soon as I smelled dog pee and dog poop everywhere, I would have been like, okay. I would have maybe walked around for 5 minutes and said, how much did you say that you needed? $110,000 minimum. Okay. Or whatever the price was. I think it was $130,000 minimum. Okay. Well, I can tell just by looking around that I really can't pay that price for this place. The number I'm going to give you probably isn't even come close to what you need. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you showing me the place, but I can't make an offer on it. She's going to get pissed. She's going to get upset. Why won't you give me a number? Why not that? Just tell me something. Just give me a number. And I'd have been like, nope, sorry. Here's my card. So then what happens is, and this is where the leverage part comes in. I go away. Now she and her boyfriend are stuck thinking about, what's this magic number? What's this number that he's got? What is he willing to pay? What did he see that we didn't see? You have to let him marinate a little bit. You got to let him ruminate on it a little bit. Okay. Then you got to let him call some other people and have them come over and then tell her the same thing that you were going to tell her. Hey, it smells like dog piss in here. There's dog poop all over the floors. Your popcorn ceilings need to come down. They're already falling down anyway. There's flooring, fixtures and paint that all needs to be done. So let somebody else do all that hard work for you. Let them get pissed off at the other wholesalers, and they'll remember, hey, Rob came here and he saw some things that this person saw, but he wouldn't give me a number. And then they'll call you back and then you can play the game with them. Okay. And then they'll have already been opened up a little bit. They'll have been seasoned a little bit to the idea that they're just not going to get their price, and they've already been pissed off at somebody else, and that person hasn't been you. So maybe you can pick up where the other person left off. I've had it happen to me probably 20 times. All right. I've been the bearer of bad news, missed out on a deal only for someone else to come in after I came in and dropped all the hard bombs on them. And they got the deal afterward for a pretty reasonable price. Okay. So don't let that person be you. Don't give them a number. Don't give them a lot of explanations. Give them your card and walk away. Let them go, walk all over another wholesaler, another salesperson. Don't let it be you. Okay. So that is the negotiation nightmare. It's the hardest part of any off-market transaction. It really is. Negotiating with sellers who maybe don't have the best credit history, don't have the best work history, don't have the best family history, are dealing with addiction. It's the hardest part dealing with these people. It just is, because they're either in a crisis that is outside of their control, or they're dealing with a crisis that they're completely in control of and they just won't do anything about, and they want to drag you into their nonsense. But the faster you can sniff out a bad deal, the faster you can sniff out an unmotivated seller, a toxic situation, or a toxic seller in general, the more time you're going to save yourself and the more money you'll make. Do you want to get into real estate investing? Do you want to start wholesaling, but you don't know where to start? You don't have any money, and you don't even have a contract. On Amazon, you can buy my book, We Buy Houses Cash, the inside story of a wholesale real estate investor buying homes with no money down. This is the book that I wrote that gives you the A to Z nuts and bolts about wholesale real estate investing, as well as stories from live negotiations that I did that were a success and a few of them that went horribly wrong, so you can learn the right way to do wholesale real estate. Available on Amazon. Are you short on money to fund your business? On this video and the link below, you can get to Fund and Grow, where they will give you the money to fund your business so you can actually get the leads that you need to start qualifying good sellers so you can get good deals in the front door and start making money and get your business going the right way. This is our website. You can get a link to the book right here. You can get a link to our contracts. These are the same contracts that I use to buy over $3 million of single family homes right here at the top, as well as links to Fund and Grow, where you can get your business funded.